Booth for Penn State, a completely different player, not nearly as offensive-minded, but nobody blocks shots better.
Well, Calvin Booth possesses long arms and great timing. We talk about his 4 blocks a game where he's a force inside, but he's also greatly improved on the offensive end. He may not guard Evan Eschmeyer face-to-face tonight, but he, like great shot blockers, will come from the weak side and give an awful lot of help.
When the Wildcats are most dangerous, somebody steps up to help out the big cat, and they hope that's the case tonight. They hope they don't have to put it all on Eschmeyer. Northwestern, Penn State will tip it off coming up.
You know the game. Now get inside it. Log on to NBA.com and reach every team and every player. Explore NBA news and notes. Visit the NBA store. Or chat with NBA players and coaches. Enter NBA.com arena and go courtside for live game audio broadcast and on-screen play-by-play. It's all here. The online world of the NBA. Go to the net. NBA.com.
Now, from ESPN Video comes the ultimate video for extreme sports fans. The X Games 1997 Summer Highlights video. All the stunts. All the action. All the best athletes. Plus, highlights from the inaugural Winter X Games. Order yours now for just $14.99. Call 1-800-717-ESPN. It makes other sports videos look downright ordinary.
It's famous for hushing highways and reducing wind to a whisper. It's as comfortable and quiet as you want it to be. It's steering wheel mounted audio controls that let you live your life like a movie and score your own soundtrack. It's a 210 horsepower performance, and you've got front row seats. It's the RL from Acura, the true definition of luxury. Yours.
Why am I always the last to know? When we got the Peterson account, I was the last to know. The merger? Last to know. Hey, we got a new logo?
Introducing Ship Alert from FedEx.com. More than tracking, it can email you the moment a package has been shipped.
First to know. Mr. Smith, the shipment just left Italy, and you heard it here first.
Smith was transferred a month ago.
Of course he was. I knew that.
Be the first to know with FedEx Ship Alert.
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by Acura, the true definition of luxury. Yours.
Hi, folks, and welcome to our ESPN College Basketball Studios. Happy to have Quinn Buckner alongside. I'm Carl Ravitch. You look at this game, Quinn, and really don't see these two teams going to the tournament. What is so big about it for the players?
Well, for the players, I think it's a big game because you have to remember, these are young people. These are kids playing college basketball, and this is a nationally televised game. So they're going to come and play like it's the national championship for all practical purposes for them because this is the big show for them.
They've both beaten Minnesota. Good chance to get their second conference win tonight. After this, Northwestern faces Purdue, Michigan State, and Michigan. Penn State doesn't get any either. Michigan State, Iowa, and Illinois. Elsewhere going on right now in the ACC, be a good idea for Florida State to win the rest of their home conference games. And they're in a pretty good battle right now, 19-17 over a Wake Forest team that is playing without the big fella. Our second game, UAB and Memphis. First place on the line in the National Division of Conference USA. Quinn and I will see at the half now to Dave Barnett and Len Elmore. Gentlemen.
Back at the Bryce Jordan Center in University Park, Penn State and Northwestern for just the 12th time. They really rarely met until Penn State joined the Big Ten Conference. Earlier this decade, Kevin O'Neill, first year at Northwestern after 3 at Tennessee, 5 at Marquette. And we look at his FedEx starting lineup with Julian Bonner, Sean Week, an outstanding freshman, especially from beyond the arc, 47% on threes. Joe Branch, Aaron Molnar, really a center playing forward alongside the center Eschmeyer. And for Jerry Dunn in his 3rd year at Penn State at 39 and 30, his lineup basically featuring just the opposite. 3 guards, Joe Crispin, Pete Lasicki, the all-time leader in threes, the single-game leader in threes, and the single-season leader in threes for Penn State. Titus Ivory, really a guard playing forward with Carl Jackson and Calvin Booth in the middle. Officials tonight are Ted Ballantyne, Jody Sylvester, and Art McDonald. Penn State has had more than a week off. They haven't played since they lost at Wisconsin 8 days ago, 76-57. Northwestern's game Saturday, also a loss at Wisconsin, but they opened the brand new Kohl Center, and Penn State closed down the old field house.
Right now, Northwestern starting out in a man-to-man. Kevin O'Neill told us this morning that what he'd like most is to have his team keep it close in the last 2 minutes. He's hoping that the man-to-man can do it. But we talked about Calvin Booth at the beginning of the telecast, greatly improved on the offensive end, playing with a lot of confidence.
And Penn State feeling like if they hit their first 2 or 3 shots, it would set the tone for them, confidence-wise, for the rest of the night.
Penn State in an aggressive man-to-man, looking to step out, overplay guys when they're within shooting range.
Traffic down low for Branch, and they lose it. Lisicky up with the steal. Neither team much in transition, although Penn State has a lot of guys who are better running than they are in the set attack, and Booth 2 for 2.
And Booth is one of those guys. He's slim, so when he sets up on the post, he gets pushed out. He's the kind of guy who's got a nice touch. When he's on the move, he can do some damage.
Branch, 6'3" senior, undersized forward, just a 200-pounder out of Houston. Down the baseline went Bonner with Molnar, bothered into the air ball by Booth, who may have had a piece of it. Joe Crispin, freshman, 6'1", out of Pittman, New Jersey, with the low post speed. Back outside for Lisicky. Side briefly was cleared for Booth. Now into the circle for Joe Crispin, and a 3 for 3 start for the Lions, and a quick 20 for Kevin O'Neill.
Well, Joe Crispin, who finished off that last shot, he's a freshman Jerry Dunn is very excited about. A pleasant surprise. Came in here with an awful lot of confidence and pretty much took over the team. At 12 points against, actually in the last couple of games, he had a situation at 21 points against Wisconsin in the last game, but 20 straight free throws. Take a look at Calvin Booth right here bothering Molnar. Actually got a piece of that. But again, we talk about him being a confident playmaker, and here's Calvin Booth right here, the big man in the middle who changed his shots. He's made it difficult.
Northwestern having major difficulties in these first 2 minutes. Here's Wink, and Lisicky denying him the three-point look. So he drifts to the corner, launches from there. Would have been a 2 had it gone. Here comes Crispin. Crispin playing, of course, because of the early season injury to Dan Earl, out for the year again. Last year it was disc in his back, and this year torn ACL. Crispin first missed by the Lions, cleaned up by Carl Jackson.
Well, Carl Jackson is part of that triumvirate that starts at the power forward position between Stevens, Jackson, and sometimes Greg Stevenson. And he's a guy I haven't seen much time last year, but he learned an awful lot. He's a banger.
And Jackson called for some off-the-ball contact underneath. First foul. Penn State has had some miserable first halves of late. In fact, they have trailed at the half 7 games in a row. Jerry Dunn says, not really sure what our problem has been, but definitely we haven't come out with enough confidence. And apparently tonight that has changed big.
Well, during that stretch, they also, Dave, turned around and outscored their opponents in the second half, and in those 7 games they had a 2-5 record. They've got to put their finger on why they can't get it started in the first half.
Eschmeyer finally gets started on a nice feed underneath from Bonner.
One of the things Jerry Dunn talked about was the fact that his team was poor against dribble penetration. If that happens tonight, Eschmeyer's a great finisher. Somebody penetrates into the paint and dishes, he's going to make sure it goes down.
Ivory back from Jackson. Titus, a redshirt freshman, this last year with ankle and foot problems. Three-pointer, Crispin.
We talked about the confidence. If he has some daylight, Joe Crispin's going to put it up.
20th 3 of the year for Crispin. 11-2 Lions. Jackson again.
Well, it's funny because I was going to say that Jackson was doing an excellent job of beating Eschmeyer to the spot. That time he was caught maybe a little bit too much body, but you take a look here. You know, Jackson, this is the one time he doesn't beat him to the spot, tries a swim move. Eschmeyer with a nice job of hooking Jackson's arm to make sure the officials can see.
Swim move, that's a defensive lineman's trick, isn't it?
Well, he's built like a defensive lineman.
He is 6'9", 247.
Joe Pa's up there checking out his technique.
Jared Stevens on. Second leading scorer for the Nittany Lions in place of Jackson. Here's Molnar. Northwestern going for a twin tower look tonight, and Booth coming away with his second block.
Molnar got him off his feet, but Booth's still capable of going up, blocking shots when he's out of position with those long arms.
Crispin just off for another three. And they say Ivory touched it last. Penn State 5 of their first 7. Northwestern has managed just 3 shots so far, and only the one made by Eschmeyer on a slam.
Well, we take a look. Calvin Booth is now matched up against Eschmeyer. Usually teams, when they see that, knowing Booth is a shot blocker, they go right at him, trying to take him out of the game.
Bonner not quite on the 3. Great save. Eschmeyer right back to Bonner.
Northwestern, we talked about it before. They need to get some help from someone else offensively.
And as Nate Hamadeh took the shot, a blocking foul called away from the ball on Aaron Molnar for Northwestern, which trails early by 9.
It's famous for hushing highways and reducing wind to a whisper. It's as comfortable and quiet as you want it to be. It's steering wheel mounted audio controls that let you live your life like a movie and score your own soundtrack. It's a 210 horsepower performance, and you've got front row seats. It's the RL from Acura, the true definition of luxury. Yours.
This is for my family, who said there isn't anything I can't do. And for myself, who believes in it.
Hey, the holidays are over, but if you're like most homeowners, you're still paying for them. That's why First Plus introduced the Debt Buster loan. It lets you borrow up to 125% of the value of your home. So even with no equity, you can still consolidate your credit cards and other loans into one low monthly payment. Plus, the interest is usually tax deductible. Give yourself a holiday from all those bills with the Debt Buster loan from First Plus. Call 1-800-510-PLUS.
Penn State by 9 with every block. Calvin Booth resets his own career record at Penn State, which he held after just 2 years.
Well, we talked about him being a good defender. He went off his feet. Molnar got him off his feet, but those long arms, as he was coming down, he blocked that shot. When you have that kind of reach, you certainly can recover.
88-inch wingspan on a 6'11" frame. He began as a 205-pounder as a freshman, up about 7 from that last year. They list him at 226 this year. Most of the gain appears to be from the waist up. He still possesses 2 of the skinniest legs this side of Evan Eschmeyer. They are both hoping to build up the thighs, I think, before their college careers are over, because they're going to need him if they get to the next level. Jared Stevens, a nice set of low post moves, and takes it in for his first 2.
Jared Stevens is just the opposite of a Calvin Booth, built low to the ground, low center of gravity. He's able to go up and under an awful lot of people playing the front line.
They leave Branch open. Couldn't get it from the corner. And Lisicky looks for Booth in transition. Little off balance, but he's 3 for 3.
And Calvin Booth recognizes his strength. He's doing a nice job when the ball goes off the board. If he doesn't get it, he's running down, beating the opposing center down the floor, and that's giving him an awful lot of opportunities.
Another Northwestern 22nd timeout. Jerry Dunn's first half miseries are over, at least tonight.
Good look by Lisicky there, but Booth beats everyone down. And the importance of that when a center runs is not only he's beating his man down, but the guys who are back are usually guards. And so he's got a decided height advantage once he gets the ball down low.
So Penn State has located They're missing offense. For Northwestern, it's still missing. They lost Saturday 56-33. 33 points, the fewest by the Wildcats in 51 years. Totaled only 13 field goals for the entire game. They have only an Eschmeyer dunk tonight in the first 5.5 minutes. 5-second call, Branch.
I don't think Joe Branch really recognized what he's doing. Far too much dribble, not enough freedom of the guys who are coming out. Penn State doing a nice job of trying to overplay the passing lanes, but they've got to be able to set picks to free people so they can get some ball movement.
Well, you add that up, that's better than 19 minutes with a total of 9 points. Going back to the end of the Wisconsin game. Problem all year, who will step up and help us? Back, nobody. Easy slam, Stevens from Ivory. Jared, who has been in a slump, looking to break out tonight. Hamaday inside, where Eschmeyer has been covered up pretty well, but he still is the only cat with any points.
And it's amazing, when he receives down low, he usually connects. And this is a guy that's shooting close to 64% from the floor. But again, once he gets it down low, you're in trouble. The thing is, Penn State's done a nice job of shutting him down.
First miss by Booth. Perfectly timed lead for the tap, and Stevens good for 6 quick ones off the bench for Dunn, and Penn State up by 15.
You know, I think it's the Penn State defense actually that's given their offense a lot of confidence. They've been able to thus far shut down Northwestern's defense.
I think we'll give that to Eschmeyer.
With a little bit of luck.
Unearned, but he'll take them off of this by Harmson.
Overall, they've been able to shut down Northwestern offense, and that's given them a surge on their offensive end.
Lisicky off the blue screen. Resetting it for Crispin. Ivory guarded by Sean Wink. Good to hear from Wink in this game. The second leading score. Quiet on the 3 by Titus Ivory. Julian Bonner, 6'1" junior out of Detroit, manning the point. And Harmson there for the hook.
Well, that time Harmson was left wide open. And again, it was the ball movement. A little bit of a push by Northwestern allows them to find someone that's open.
Harmson shoots 61%, but he rarely shoots. Averages less than 4 points per game. Northwestern, the best shooting team in the league, because they are very particular about who takes the shots.
That time Lisicky got tripped, crowd looking for a foul, but Lisicky kind of tripped over his own feet.
Away drive, Crispin tried to force that one through a crowd. Not a good idea. And it's Bonner, picked up by Titus Ivory.
Good job by Booth again to beat Eschmeyer through the spot.
Wink has been completely erased so far. Ivory doing a terrific job on him. Bonner left alone, and he'll take the 3. And right into the hands of Harmson. Way too hard. But takes it away from Stevens, who takes it right back and saves it to Ivory.
Good hustle by Stevens, but that play was made by Booth's presence down low. Harmson, recognizing that Booth was there, tried to put it up a little bit higher than he normally would have.
Penn State with a 20-second timeout. Your college basketball dreams are coming through before your very eyes. Hundreds of extra hoop games available night after night on pay-per-view. See all the great action from Conference USA, the Big Ten, the Big East, the ACC, SEC, and more. To order, call DirecTV at 1-800-GET-SPORTS. Or contact your cable company. A free preview coming up on Saturday, January 31st, and Sunday, February 1st. Florida State in charge at home over Wake. Good start for UMass. Good start here for Penn State, up 19-8. On 9 of 13 from the field. 3 is long by Lisicky, but a foul prior to the shot and an offensive foul. On Scott Wiskowski for Penn State. 11-17 in the first.
A feature of every home.
These days, we could all use more endurance. And now I've got it. Because new high endurance deodorant from Old Spice lasts a full 24 hours. No one else is this strong, this long, guaranteed. Hey, no matter what you're into, now you got all the endurance you need. A full 24 hours.
Any more Pace thick and chunky salsa? That ain't Pace. Pace uses only fresh jalapenos for that bold taste born in San Antonio. This stuff's made in New York City. New York City! Pick up the Pace.
It's famous for hushing highways and reducing wind to a whisper. It's as comfortable and quiet as you want it to be. It's steering wheel mounted audio controls that let you live your life like a movie and score your own soundtrack. It's a 210 horsepower performance, and you've got front row seats. It's the RL from Acura, the true definition of luxury. Yours.
Let's see. It says here you're lazy, highly unmotivated. You have a problem with authority.
Yeah, I've got two references that proves that.
Well, the only thing I can say is, you demand. You demand.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light.
Technically, I can't give you a raise yet.
You're right, policy, schmolicy.
All right, Wake Forest and Florida State Seminoles trying to climb the ACC ladder now at 2-4 in conference. Pressure on the ball. Good pressure. Lamar Greer the steal. He lays it up, lays it in. They have gone to the half. Florida State pulling away. They're up 11, Dave.
And Carl, Penn State up 11 here. 11:17 to go in the first half. My family not wishing to reveal their identity on camera, understandably.
That's why you needed the extra passes. I'll remember that next time, Dave.
69% start by the Nittany Lions, and Northwestern, if you discount the 3 of 3 by Eschmeyer, 1 of 9 from everybody else. Scott Wiskowski just checked in before the timeout and had a foul going into the break, and he gets a foul coming out of the break.
Well, again, Witkowski trying to beat Eschmeyer to the spot, and Eschmeyer battling. Witkowski, if he faces the ball, he probably doesn't get caught. But it looked as though he was just resting.
Hamaday and Bonner. And finally, Wink.
Wink's getting overplayed very well by the Clippers. Just past inside there. But that's why he hasn't really gotten off. A nice job. Northwestern, again, trying to find offense from different sources.
Only other source to score for them is Harmson. Stevens taking Eschmeyer out and then ducking right back underneath it.
Talked about that strength up and under.
Penn State with the easy takeaway into the hands of Greg Stevenson, who's made his first appearance, a sometime starter. 6'5" sophomore. Inside, and this time Eschmeyer turning Jared Stevens away with his first block.
Stevens thought that he could probably get to the basket without a fake. It's not going to happen with the big fellow there.
Eschmeyer, not a big shot blocker. That's just his 12th of the year, less than 1 per game.
But he's big enough and long enough to contest it, and a guy like Stevens with that strength, up fake just to get Eschmeyer's weight moving in the other direction will help.
Eschmeyer will follow his own miss, his first miss of the day, and he has 8 of the Northwestern 12.
Last 2 times down for Northwestern, much better ball movement. They've swung the ball from side to side, making the Penn State defense shift.
I was the first time Eschmeyer got it down there with the defense off balance. And he still missed. It wasn't challenged from Blue. Stevenson, Lisicki, great up fake, gets himself an open look from about 15.
But Pete Lisicki, as opposed to last year when he was thrust into that leadership position and was often frustrated because the defenses pointed to him, much more patient this year. That time you saw him in his patient mode, a little up fake, waited to get the ball. He hasn't forced the game thus far, and he's a good scorer.
That's his first score of the night, in fact. And for Penn State to be leading with no offense yet from Pete Lisicki, a terrific sign. That almost never happened last year. Seldom this year. Shot clock becoming the problem. Down to 5. And we'll see the return of Booth for Penn State. Greg Grays, prize freshman out of Southfield, Michigan, also coming on for Jerry Dunn.
For Kevin O'Neill, the improvement by Northwestern on offense is incremental. Penn State's still doing a nice job of denying the entry pass directly into Eschmeyer, but his guys are moving the ball around the perimeter. Again, making the defense shift, allowing Eschmeyer to step up into some open spots. Maybe they might be able to get him the ball.
Titus Ivory returns for Penn State. To see if they would allow Titus Ivory in for Lisicki, and at last they decide to. Terrence Avery from Northwestern, 6'9" freshman. One for the first time. 2 on the shot clock. Bonner launching a prayer and almost banked in a 3. Closest they've yet come to a 3-pointer. Penn State still by 11. 8 minutes, 15 seconds remaining first half. Ivory for 3.
Ivory's been looking for that shot all day. He took one before, but he's got it open. Northwestern willing to back off with him.
Contact off the ball. An offensive foul again for Northwestern. This might be, see if they look at Eschmeyer for an elbow on this call.
Well, Eschmeyer is definitely getting frustrated right now. We saw a couple of plays with Witkowski hanging all over him. Booth doing a much better job in finessing the defensive aspect of the game, but he's beating Eschmeyer to the spot, as we mentioned, and Eschmeyer consequently is not seeing the ball as often as he'd like, and certainly the frustration is showing.
Shows there with his first personal, just the second team. Penn State perfect here, 6-0 by an average margin of 20 points per game. Not so fortunate away from here. 2-5 on the road, 0-1 on neutral floors. Rebound Avery, freshman from West Frankfort, Illinois, where he was an all-stater and a 6'6" high jumper. Stevens gambling for the steal. Making his first appearance, and the feed inside for Avery.
And other guys are starting to get involved right now. It's a confidence booster when you can go away from Eschmeyer if you're Northwestern and find somebody else who can put the ball in the basket. Now they've got to make a stop on the defensive end.
Eschmeyer's teammates now a total of 3 for 13. He is 4 for 5. Not there on the Greg Grays 3-pointer, and Booth tangled up with Camroth. Calvin will be the last man in your picture here, trying to chase down Eschmeyer.
Anytime Branch with a wide open shot. Declined to take it.
Booth, block number 3. So he is an amazingly quick shot blocker. And as we saw earlier tonight, even when he's beaten, faked off his feet, he can still get the rejection. He's got 3 and counting tonight.
Want to make the hair stand up on the back of my neck? Say the word used. Want to make me pass out? Say used car. Face it, it's not a word that evokes a vote of confidence. Unless, of course, you go to Lehigh Valley Ford, Honda, Hyundai, Acura, Suzuki, and Used Car and Truck Center. Most of the used cars and trucks we sell are good, clean, low mileage, local trades, and completely certified, which means we won't run away if there's a problem, so you can relax. Lehigh Valley Ford, Honda, Hyundai, Acura, Suzuki, and Used Car and Truck Center. With a name this long, we've got to be doing something right.
These are the jobs you do. These are the things that happen to you. These are the people we want you to see. For specialized services in occupational health, choose Affinity. Affinity works with you and your employer to create a treatment plan with one simple goal: to help you get back to work. Affinity, moving people toward health.
Rivalry Week tips off in the unfriendly confines of Dayton Arena. Lenny Brown's Magic versus Ryan Perriman's Muscle. Xavier, Dayton, Saturday at noon, only on ESPN.
Hurricanes trying to do something they've never done, which is beat Villanova 2 times in a row. Same season, Mario Bland ultimately get the ball, part of a 15-2 run. The Hurricanes earlier beat them by 2. Right now, they're up 10 in the first half. Dave?
26-14. Penn State off early and yet to be challenged by the Wildcats. And we said at the top that Eschmeyer has to have some help, and he's not getting it tonight. He has 8 of their 14. Normally, it's Wink who helps, but Sean is 0 for 2 tonight on the season. Those two have combined for 54% of the Northwestern offense.
And it's not as though his teammates aren't getting some open shots. Wink is one of the few guys that's been covered like a blanket by Penn State. A couple of guys like Joe Branch had wide open shots. He just declined to take it, which is not helpful in an offense such as this.
Although O'Neal is very specific about which shots which guys are to take, and that's why as a team they're 51%. Jarrett Stevens 10 points off the bench.
I kind of disagree with that philosophy because you work every day on shots. Guys, if they can get themselves within a 10-15 foot range, you work every day on it. You might as well let them take it. It builds confidence, and it also keeps the defense honest.
Avery almost mishandled the dribble. Bonner a look inside. Wink with his best look yet at a 3, and he's way wide, and a push off by Avery. On the offensive glass, 3rd foul against the Wildcats.
We're seeing Northwestern do a lot of pushing and shoving under the basket, and what that tells me is that Penn State doing a nice job of covering the board, of blocking out, and really forcing the Northwestern guys to do nothing but push because they can't get around it.
Well, Lisicky only 2, but Penn State has had more than enough offense other than their usual scoring leader, who averages 15. Stevens really the story there. Traveling on Greg Stevenson. Stevenson last year, because of the number of injuries for Penn State, spent a lot of minutes as a freshman and even started 8 games.
And he's a good-looking player. Not only does he have some skill on the perimeter and inside, but he's a nice defensive player, quick, particularly to the passing lane.
Wildcats again winding down the shot clock. And yet to even look for a shot yet. Gonna have to get close now. Bonner. Easy block, almost flat-footed for Stevenson, and the shot clock runs out.
Again, I think it's the matter of not looking for the shot unless they have to, and that'll get you in trouble every time.
Don't miss the world's best tennis players as they compete in the first Grand Slam tournament of the 98 season. Coverage of the Australian Open continuing on ESPN and ESPN2. The Deuce later tonight at 1 a.m. and check out coverage on ESPN. That's tomorrow afternoon at 1 Eastern. Stevens again undercut by Avery, and he'll go for the 3-point play. Jared Stevens has 12 points. He averages 12.6, and he hasn't exceeded 12 in over a month.
Well, again, you take a look, not much pressure on the ball. A nice backdoor cut by Stevens. And this is a guy who over the last 2 games is 6 for his last 15 coming into this game. That's 40%. And a lot of people are saying that's a slump for him. This is a guy that's shooting in the high 60s from the field. You see why?
61%. The exact number 2 field goal percentage behind only Eschmeyer in the Big Ten. Crispin back into Hound Wink. Eschmeyer, as is so often the case, triple teamed, and then a hesitation going back up. Eschmeyer finally, and he can't get it to go either. Hesitating was Napoleon Harris, who has just come on for Northwestern. Offensive foul. Greg Graves will not get the acrobatic leaner. Instead, his first personal, 5th against the team.
Well, we got to come to Napoleon Harris's defense just a little bit. I mean, he's a walk-on. He's a member of the football team. Hasn't had much experience thus far. Athletic. But that time, he's not accustomed to shoot.
Getting his time under duress tonight. 4 minutes in the first half.
In 1993, we changed everything. Dodge became the new Dodge, and the new Dodge became Intrepid. Now we're changing the way cars are created. Today's new Intrepid is the world's first car designed, assembled, and proven on computers, enabling a degree of precision never before possible. Welcome to the world of the new Dodge Intrepid. We're changing everything. Again.
It's hard to think of something more important to a kid than their bike. That's why State Farm, along with the help of the good neighbor, sponsors the Bike Rodeo, just one of the many safety programs we support throughout the country. It's where we give kids a lesson in bike safety to help make sure their bikes are in good condition and to teach kids to ride more responsibly. Because at State Farm, we want to make sure children are safe no matter where their bikes take them.
State Farm is there.
Our keynote speaker holds a PhD in chemistry and serves as director of our North American facility. Please join me in welcoming Dr. James Dalrymple.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Quinn Bucker and I keeping a close eye on the Vodtech Rhode Island game. Rams have stumbled a little bit lately. Not here. Antonio Reynolds-Dean gets the pass, goes up, and lays it off the window. Jim Herrick's team up by 5. We'll talk about them at the half. Dave?
And we're getting close. 4 minutes exactly to go. Penn State by 16, 30-14. Their largest lead. They have held Northwestern to 29%. Still looking for their first 3. Penn State 67%. And Stevens, the story off the bench, with his best game in over a month. In fact, if he quit right now, it would still be his best game in over a month.
Well, again, Jared Stevens a bit too strong for the front line of Northwestern. They can get the ball on the baseline. He's got the breather right now.
Crispin all over Wink, just as Ivory has been when he's taken a turn. Grant stepping through the lane. Here's Harris.
Grant stepping through the lane again, not even looking at the basket.
And the triple team to Eschmeyer. The angle pass out to Bonner. Can't get the 3. Got it all the way back into the backcourt where Wink was there. Almost taken away by Crispin.
Talked about the shots taken when you have to shoot. That's part of the problem for Northwestern. That shot by Bonner was, you know, one of those that you just had to, otherwise the clock ran out. Otherwise, they're not looking. What Harris did just then was make an aggressive move to the basket, and that's what Northwestern needs, because the defense right now is just gambling and doing anything they want because they know that most of the Northwestern players, but for Wink and Eschmeyer, just aren't offensive-minded.
Eschmeyer breaking loose from Witkowski, and he'll go for the 3-point play and a nice inbounds feed.
Well, off the inbounds, the one guy that you don't want to get the ball if you're Penn State is Evan Eschmeyer. Make someone else receive. And Jerry Dunn just stalked up the sideline, wondering what does he have to do to get Witkowski to understand that.
One area where Eschmeyer needs to improve, just 59% from the free throw line this year. Well below what he is from the field. He has 11 of their 17 as Booth comes back after Witkowski's 3rd personal. Boy, the last 3 halves for Kevin O'Neill. He would love to forget. 18 in the first half, 15 in the second half. Saturday at Wisconsin, and so far 17 in this one. This is Jossie Klein-Hurd, freshman out of Houston, and the son of Gar Hurd, NBA fame, and Larry Brown staff with the 76ers. Booth head-to-head with a lefty hook over Eschmeyer.
Well, you can't say enough again about the improvement, and a lot of it from Calvin Booth on the offensive end is just confidence. That time he actually wanted the ball. Didn't see too much of that last year where he actually called for the ball.
Well, you really see him blossoming on the offensive end this year. almost staying with Eschmeyer point for point tonight, which is something the Lions could have hoped for, but certainly couldn't have expected or counted on. Shot clock under 10. Bonner in a crowd. Wink still looking, still scoreless. Average is 12 per game. Almost 50% on his threes and scoreless with 2:02 to go in this first half.
Well, again, it's tough to score when you're not focused and aggressive to the basket and playing with confidence. Except for Eschmeyer, the other 4 guys on the floor seem to be playing as though offense is a last resort for them.
Foul is on Napoleon Harris, his first.
This foul on Napoleon Harris for Northwestern.
New man.
Stevens back. Ryan Hurd will head back to the bench, and Lisicky has likewise been replaced by Titus Ivory.
Crispin,
very solid. 8 points, about 2.5 assists as a freshman this year. Rest into duty because of the Dan Earl injury.
And he's out there barking signals as a freshman. We talked about his confidence. He knows he runs this show. Those guys respond to it.
Booth drifting almost out to three-point land and almost got it. Down near a minute and a half. Eschmeyer briefly single coverage on him, and he steps inside. Booth got another one. That's 5 blocks for Calvin Booth. And the pass intended for Stevens, not able to handle it. Wink comes up with the steal.
Just when you think you get a little daylight, the sun gets covered.
Closes hurriedly. Eschmeyer this time beating Booth, who goaltends and fouls. Evan Eschmeyer.
Well, the previous offensive possession by Northwestern, it was just a play where Evan Eschmeyer had to split the defense, thinking that he had something, and Booth took it away.
Foul is on Joe Crispin, his first. 8 for Penn State.
Coming up on the Courtyard by Marriott halftime report, we'll look in on Wake Forest visiting number 20 Florida State tonight. Action from the A-10. We'll talk about what else is going on in the Big Ten race. That's coming up with Carl and Quinn in the studio. Here's Eschmeyer. Get Northwestern within 12 with his second three-point play. 14 points for Evan Eschmeyer, 6 for his teammates. Harmson 4, Avery the other 2. They have yet to get a point from a guard. Or for that matter, a small forward.
Penn State looking again to execute in their half-court set, run something and get somebody a wide-open shot. In their minds, preferably Stevens. He's the guy that made something happen.
Crispin has to hurry. Wrap around pass, a beauty for Booth to slam.
Booth on a pass from Joe Crispin.
Joe Crispin with the penetration. Good point guard play. When things get out of whack, your point guard has to have the ability to break the defense down to create.
Well, it looked like they had nothing. They come away with their best looking play of the half. 10 seconds. Ivory had it knocked out by Bonner with 7.9.
And Stevens was asking Ivory, why did you give it to me earlier? Excellent defense by Titus Ivory. Again, pushing up on Northwestern, making it so difficult not only to handle but also to see. And that's been the key to the Penn State defense. It's been very difficult with the pressure on the ball for the passer to see anyone that's open.
Raised to inbound it, and nobody picks up Stevens. Napoleon Harris had just come back, and if Stevens was his man, he was very confused. The end of the best half for Penn State in the last 8 games, and Booth a major reason with double-figure points and 5 blocks already. 36-20. Favor the Nittany Lions. Now let's go to Carl Ravitch and Quinn Buckner for the Courtyard by Marriott halftime report.
All right, David and Len, thank you very much. And he said it, one of the best halves for Penn State so far this season, probably one of the worst as far as Northwestern goes. They just couldn't do anything right, and saw the numbers on Calvin Booth. He really was the difference on both ends.
Carl, he makes a big difference because when you think about the wingspan, it's enormous. It may be close to 7.5, 8 feet. And what he does, he allows the pressure on the ball out front. And when you have pressure on the ball, you have somebody like Evan Eschemeyer. He can't get it because there's too much pressure on the passer. So they're doing a great job defensively. And then I think for the other part for Northwestern, new coach, everybody trying to learn each other, just playing a team, and Penn State is playing inspired.
We will talk much more about the Big Ten as we continue on the Courtyard by Marriott halftime report. Also an injury in Miami. Mario Bland taken off on a stretcher. We'll update that as well. And ACC country. Randall Jackson and Florida State in action.
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by the new Dodge Intrepid. We're changing everything again.
Girl at the bus stop, talking French. You a girlfriend on the bench. I had my head in a book. I lost my place when I took a look.
Oh, great. Man, that tune-up.
These AC Delco parts are about the most dependable you can buy. They should really help improve your performance.
Come on, they're all the same. I'll take some out of this bushel basket.
Okay.
AC Delco. No matter what you drive, if you're not asking for it, you're asking for it.
Sooner's here. I prefer a child caregiver, Jimmy. I prefer Zoltron. Okay. So, Zoltron, I see you had a pizza delivered. Afraid not. Sure looks like it to me. You call Zoltron a liar? Look, Space Boy, here on Earth, if it looks like delivery, chances are
It's DiGiorno, the self-rising crust pizza that bakes up fresh like pizzeria pizza. For fresh baked pizza at home,
cute.
It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
First, we built a digital model of the new Dodge Intrepid. Then, to test it, a virtual world. We ran crash tests in a virtual safety lab. Tuned the suspension on a twisting virtual road. Refined the climate control in a virtual cabin. By the time we tested Intrepid in the real world, it was virtually perfect. The new Dodge Intrepid. We're changing everything. Again.
Welcome, everyone, to the Courtyard by Marriott halftime report. Back to the Bryce Jordan Center for second half action in just a bit. To the ACC, 10 league games left for FSU, and the story is this. They're 2-4. They win the rest of their home conference games and beat South Florida. The worst they can do is 8-8 in conference and get 20 wins. Generally good enough to get you into the tournament. Robert O'Kelly, Stephen Goolsby, layup, foul. He'd make the free throw, 23-23. Later in the half, FSU works it around. Terrell Baker hits the three. He gets fired up, 34-25. Florida State overweight. More Florida State. Defense trapping in the corner just before half, 38-27 as Lamar Greer goes in. It was 40-29 at the break. Dave Odom hadn't even had a lot to cheer about this season. 44-36 now, Florida State on top in the second half with 15-27 left. Jackson scoring 9 so far in this game. And you look at Florida State and what they have done, they have basically been in every game, as you see on this graphic here. And Kansas down 3 with 3 to go. And a lot of people point to that as, hey, you know, maybe it's not so bad for Florida State.
Well, you know, they've got a coaching change. I think that's part of it. But what the other thing you have to deal with, in the preseason, they averaged 16 turnovers. They forced 16, and they averaged 16 and a half. And then all of a sudden, now forcing only 13, but having 19. That's 6.5 possessions. And when you look at close games, that's the kind of thing that can make a difference.
5 losses, and we saw 3 of those losses to teams currently in the top 5. So that may give the guys who pick the teams for the tournament something to think about. But again, they win the rest of their home conference games and knock off South Florida. 8-8 has gotten teams in from the ACC in the past. All right, Virginia Tech and Rhode Island in the A-10. Rhode Island, as far as they go, now they're also struggling a little bit. Jim Herrick had 3 real intense practices this week. Helped out Tyson Wheeler, tied at 10. Then Antonio Reynolds-Dean gets the ball, turnaround jumper. He hits the net, 17-13 in favor of the Rams at that point. They have just gone to the break, and they're up 39-25 at the half. Meantime, UMass and Davidson, that game is also at the half. Lonnie Mack has got 7 from the backcourt for the Minutemen. GW and Fordham. There's a score there, 43-35 in the second half. Fairleigh Dickinson and St. Joe's. It is 32-20, 8-10. They won both meetings with Northeast Conference this season, so we'll see how these games play out. Going on now, Louisville and North Carolina Charlotte. First half, the Cardinals running. Up it goes, and Nate Johnson comes down with it. 16-12 Cardinal. Sean Colson, DeMarco Johnson off the window at the soft touch, and at 25-24. Colson this time bringing it up. He'll take it himself as the defense backed off. 27-24, 49ers at that point. And right now it is 31-29 in the first half with 2:50 left to go. Cameron Murray coming off a 13-assist game against St. Louis. That's most by Louisville player in 20 years. And Louisville has to go on the road now. They play 4 real tough games coming up after this. Marquette 10-7 over Cincinnati very early. In South Florida, trailing Southern Miss 31-28. For Southern Miss, it gets no easier. This is their 4th game in the last week and 1 day. We got another game coming up later. The Blazers of UAB against the Tigers of Memphis. Comes your way around 9:30 Eastern time tonight for first place in Conference USA. Second division. Now, Rafe LaFrentz, good news for him. Many thought he'd be gone 6 to 8 weeks. Now it appears that that broken right wrist is healing a little quicker. There is a chance that he returns to play against Texas Tech. They are 7-2 without him, 5-1 in conference games. Good news for the Jayhawks. Quinn and I back with more right after this.
This halftime report is presented by Courtyard by Marriott, a hotel designed by business travelers.
Today, we have more computing power than the entire industry had when we designed the first Dodge Intrepid. We have the power to digitally blueprint, assemble, and test a car to make sure things fit right and work well. To make a quieter, roomier, quicker car. We have the power to change. The new Dodge Intrepid. We're changing everything. Again.
He was their #1 assassin.
Which brings us to your task.
But there was one job he wouldn't do.
So you didn't want to shoot a kid?
He made his choice.
Now he's their #1 target.
What did you get me into?
International action star Chow Yun-fat, Mira Sorvino, The Replacement Killers. Rated R. Opens everywhere February 6th.
Circuit City has great prices on DSS systems, and we also have a few ideas about what to do with your old satellite dishes. Good guacamole.
For guaranteed low prices and expert advice on your new DSS system, the place to go is Circuit City. We're your DSS experts, and we'll show you how to see more sports, movies, and pay-per-view programming, too. Plus, get $100 off professional installation or a self-install kit free with any DSS purchase. Now at Circuit City.
Joe Paterno would like the lead. He's up by 2 touchdowns, 36-20, and a safety at the half. Well, Quinn Buckner, as we continue here on the Courtyard by Marriott halftime report, the Big Ten. You're very familiar with that conference. Everybody expected maybe Michigan to be where they are. It's that other Michigan team, Michigan State, at 5-1. That has really been a big surprise.
There's no doubt that they've been a big surprise. I mean, they've been able to beat some teams. They just punched Purdue by 17 points, and they were able to go into Iowa and beat them just in the last game. So they've played it very well. You expect them to play well against some teams, but they still have to play Iowa, Purdue, Indiana, Illinois again, and they still have to play Michigan. Now, they've got to go play Indiana after they play the next game against Penn State. I suspect they'll find out then how good they really are.
They have surprised a lot of people. Dr. Tom Davis, Iowa Club loser last night, says we just couldn't do anything right versus saying they did a lot of things right. We just couldn't get anything right. He thinks his team is certainly one to contend with in that conference. Now to the Big East, Villanova and Miami. And you talk about teams like Rhode Island that have sort of skidded lately. How about Leonard Hamilton's Hurricanes? Mario Bland moving the bucket, 10-7. The Canes are up early at home. Then off the Villanova turnover. Vernon Jennings, Johnny Helmsley gets it to go. Miami on offense looking pretty good. Helmsley this time for 3. Caps a 17-2 run. Miami on top, 19-7. And then a moment that caused everybody to hold their breath. Mario Bland going hard into the scorer's table. His head hit the sign, and Mario Bland was down and had to be taken off on a stretcher. This happened moments ago. We have yet to get word from Miami on his condition, but it is something we certainly will keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, you hope that Mario Bland is better, but if you think about Miami, here's a team, the teams that they've lost to are 44-11. So they've lost to some good teams. St. John's is coming along. That's one of the teams that beat Miami.
Absolutely. Speaking of the Red Storm, they have gotten things together, but this is one of the things that has haunted them recently. Inconsistency. At Pitt, they are down 39-32. That game has gone to the half. Zendon Hamilton continues to play well. Felipe Lopez struggling a little bit. Calvin Booth ain't struggling. He has got 10. And his team's up 16.
Today's law requires more than traditional law books. Today's law requires technology. At Peter J. Carrolley and Associates, we utilize new generation technology to win cases for you. We're setting new standards of personal injury case management. Serious injuries require a serious lawyer.
These are the jobs you do. These are the things that happen to you. These are the people we want you to see. For specialized services in occupational health, choose Affinity. Affinity works with you and your employer to create a treatment plan with one simple goal: to help you get back to work. Affinity, moving people toward health.
Ziggy is developing technology that will carry millions of bits of information faster. She's also developing a wonderful rapport with her 6 students. Mary Zimmerman has earned national attention as a dynamic theater director. Her 15 students also give her rave reviews. Robert Lamb is an internationally recognized expert on the flu virus. His 30 biology students find his enthusiasm quite contagious. Northwestern University, where big ideas come in small classes.
It is one of the most powerful warships, with satellite communications, radar and propulsion systems that are the most advanced in the world. But USS Mitchell cannot do a single thing without you. Because the most important part of USS Mitchell is her crew of over 250 sailors who every day embark on a journey of honor, of courage, and of commitment. Call 1-800-USA-NAVY. Let the journey begin.
Courtyard by Merritt. Halftime report continues. To the ice. Flyers, Rangers tied at 1. Yanni Niederman the shot. Richter the save. Brindamore the rebound and goal. Flyers are on top 2-1 over the Rangers. Richter coming off one of his best games of the year. Penguins on top of the Devils after 20 minutes. The score there is 2-0. Yager has got his 22nd. Highlights of all these games on SportsCenter. The worldwide leaders got San Diego covered. The Raiders have named John Gruden their head coach. Linda Cohn standing by along with Kenny Mayne after the game.
So instead of winning this series, they now go to a pivotal Game 7. Rich?
If you're a person who's really into sports, you'll really be into new ESPN, the magazine.
Don't you want to give us some scores? Are we still on the air?
Issue after issue.
What is going on here? This is weird.
You'll be involved like no sports magazine ever involved you before.
Hello? Do we have a problem here?
ESPN, the magazine, is big. Bigger in size. Bigger with news, pictures, player profiles, inside information, and amazing access to places you've never been before.
Hey, what's up?
And because we know that you know what happened last week, even last night, ESPN the magazine is mostly about what happens next. The matchups, the players and teams to watch, the ins, outs, and insights that are the real reason we really love sports. And the real reason ESPN people like Dan Patrick, Peter Gammons, Chris Mortensen, and many of the best sports writers in America will be talking sports in every issue. So call now for your charter subscription to ESPN, the magazine. You'll get a special deal, 26 issues, a whole year's worth, for just $1 an issue, saving you over 66% off the newsstand price. And you'll get this great freebie.
T-shirts.
The first ever limited edition ESPN The Magazine T-shirts. 100% cotton with the world-famous ESPN The Magazine Bullseye logo right over your heart.
Can I get a witness for this?
Call now for your charter subscription to ESPN The Magazine. At last, you have something to do when you're not watching ESPN.
Call 1-800-556-0606. 1-800-556-0606.
Penn State's first halftime lead since December 14th against VMI. A little bit better than that one. That was a 2-point lead. This is 16, 36-20. They shoot 68%, 17 of 25. Northwestern, 9 of 29 for 31%. They're still looking for a three-pointer. They do lead on the glass and 9-2 on the offensive glass, but they have simply had too much Calvin Booth to deal with.
Well, Booth has actually been a force inside. He's changed a lot of shots, and really, even against Northwestern's main man, he's been very successful in blocking some shots. Not only does he deter the score, but he places a message in the brain of Eschmeyer. And then on offense, a lot of high percentage shots by Calvin Booth and his running partner, Jarrett Stevens.
Jarrett Stevens with 14, his best half since he had a 16-point game December 8th. And a big win over George Mason. So Stevens breaking out of his individual slump, as Penn State collectively does in their series of poor first halves. And Eschmeyer was with 14 points, far and away their leading scorer on 6 of 9 from the field.
Northwestern right now, they've got to get more aggressive on the offensive end. They've got to make Penn State play them.
And starting off the second half with an offensive foul.
Well, I tell you, it is a foul. It changes hands as a turnover, but you got to be a little heartened if you're a Northwestern fan. At least he's making some progress to the basket. First half, they didn't do much of that at all.
Julian Bonner's first. Other than Eschmeyer, the other 4 Wildcats on the floor right now are 0 for 13. Pete is 2 for 2. Can you imagine a game last year with 1 for 1.5 from Lisicky and Penn State up by 16? This wouldn't happen.
No, I couldn't imagine that at all. Bottom line is that they've got some guys who are now capable of carrying the team for a period of time. And Lisicky now is capable of being a decoy. He's a pretty decent playmaker.
6 blocks and counting for Booth. Another 3. Titus Ivory. 22nd. Northwestern timeout. The Penn State lead swelling to 22 as they start the second half, the same way they started the first.
And a point to be made when we talked about the comparison between last year and this year's Penn State team. Titus Ivory really didn't play. He had the red shirt because of an injury. You know, he's an offensive force as well in the backcourt. And again, it just gives Penn State more options. And they don't have to rely solely on Pete Lisicky, who's an excellent perimeter player, but can be shut down if the defense focuses upon doing it.
Ivory, in fact, had to have bone graft surgery last year. Took an injury red shirt after he started the first 2 games. 2 3-pointers tonight to double his average. And Penn State more than doubling up the Wildcats. Harris starts the second half for Kevin O'Neill. Came in with 0 for 3 in his 4 first half minutes. Eschmeyer again challenging Booth, who will come away with his first foul. He has 6 blocks. That's how aggressive he's been. This is his first personal foul.
You got to give Eschmeyer a lot of credit, despite having several shots blocked by Booth, and just overall frustrated by the inability to get him the ball inside. He's still taking it to him. And here again, a nice move to the basket. This time Jackson really not awake and allowed Eschmeyer to beat him to the spot.
Kevin O'Neill, Jerry Dunn, most coaches would agree that the thing about big men is they start off probably well behind most little guys in terms of their individual skills, because so many of them dominated simply because they were big at the high school level. But would shot blocking fall into that category, or is that something you are born with, that ability to react the way a Booth does?
That's innate. There's no way that you can teach that. And again, the fortunate part for Calvin Booth, not only does he have the physique, the long arms, but he's got great timing, and he understands the time to block a shot and the time to kind of back off a little bit. Keeps him out of foul trouble. You know, those are things that you pick up. That's your feel for the game.
Carl Jackson called for the offensive foul, his third. Julian Bonner, like all the Wildcat guards, still looking for point number 1 of the game. There's the biggest block yet by Booth. Harris slipping inside of Booth for his first 2. And at last, points from a Wildcat backcourt man, 42-24. Lasicki. Harris taking the rebound away from Wink. Got to think that by starting Harris, O'Neal is just looking for aggressiveness.
Well, I think he is. Somebody who's going to come in there and be able to mix it up, set some picks to free guys like Wink.
Wink battling Titus Ivory for the steal. Ivory ends up with a loose ball, and Wink is going to end up with a foul.
Ivory, a nice job of overplaying the passing lanes, anticipating a look at Wink. And that's what Penn State's been able to do. They have the shot blocker in the back. They've been able to pressure the ball and overplay the passing lanes. And it just makes it so difficult to get anything started offensively.
Garrett Stevens off his near perfect first half, beating Booth, who lost the handle, and Harris still in that football frame of mind. This is a hell ball. It'll stay on this end of the floor.
Nice job of help by Harris underneath. And just as importantly, though, Calvin Booth really didn't turn and locate the defense.
Harris out of Dixmoor, Illinois, just walked on, finishing up for Gary Barnett's football club. 6'4", 215, which makes him bigger than almost all the small forwards for the Wildcats. Eschmeyer with a block over the back of Jarrett Stevens, though.
Nice look by Ivory that time, receiving on the baseline, and Stevens going right to the basket. Take a look here. Here's Ivory on the baseline, draws the defender Harris to him, and that opens up a little crease for Stevens to slip into, if there's such a thing as a guy 6'7", 240 slipping into something.
Not sure there is. Garrett Stevens, the only Nittany Lion to shoot a free throw tonight. They are 0 for 2. They turned it in for Branch. Eschmeyer, the only Wildcat to shoot a free throw. He's 4 for 4. And that is the only area where Stevens has struggled tonight. Stevens, though, going to praise of none other than Gene Cady of Purdue, called him the most improved player in the league. And based on tonight, you have to agree. Shot clock down near 10. Cats not near a shot yet. That happened several times in the first half. Wink gets an open look. Eschmeyer trying to tap. Out it comes to Crispin. They're 3-on-3. And Crispin weaves all the way through, and Wink got him on the reach for his second.
Well, that time Crispin saw the broken floor situation. The defense not really set. And again, we talked about point guard play. Your initial job as a point guard when you receive is to push the ball up the floor and explore the defense. That time he really didn't see any contest, so he continued to take it as far as he could.
20 straight on the line for Crispin, who had a school record, and there's the end of the streak. Tell you what, never question the jinx. It is unbeaten. Penn State record 14-14. Single game mark set against Minnesota earlier this season. Now starting a new streak. Evan's brother, Jeff Eschmeyer, a 6'4" walk-on freshman. On for the first time. He replaces Nate Pomaday with the Cats down 19. Ninth game for Jeff Eschmeyer this year. And the brothers connect. Evan, one of his few misses tonight. But Harris, with that aggressive mindset, takes it right back. Almost stolen by Ivory. Potter says, let's get organized.
I tell you, Harris is the only guy really putting a body on someone when you're setting picks. Everyone else is kind of shying away from the contact.
Tried to thread one through boot. Usually doesn't work. Ivory at the other end. 8 for Ivory, his first 2-pointer tonight.
Excellent outlet by Lisicky. But once again, Northwestern, in their offense, they've got to be able to free someone, considering the pressure Penn State's putting on them. And the only way to do that is to set a pick on a guy and have a guy be able to utilize that pick.
Another near miss on a 3-pointer by Sean Wink. One of the top 3-point shooting freshmen in the country tonight, notwithstanding. Ivory couldn't get the tray. Harris over Jeff Eschmeyer, who never had an idea it was coming. Lisicky takes the gift.
Lisicky scores. Just like in that other game, you never throw the pass unless you can see the man's front numbers. That time, all he could see was the back of 44's jersey.
Jeff Eschmeyer. Scramble. Stevens down there with Harris. Finally picked up by Ivory. And Penn State with numbers 4-on-2 break. Crispin's pass deflected by Wink. And at 14:44 the second half, Penn State still firmly in control.
Back home this Saturday night as the Lady Lion Gymnastics team takes on the NC State Wolfpack.
Reflected in the brightest of today. At the Chrysler Corporation, it's how we build great cars and great trucks.
Foot action is running the point. You must see what others do not see. Break down what is designed to stop you. Innovate. Create. Do you have the foot action to run the point?
Foot action is also where to get the Marbury 2 from and 1. For every action, there's foot action.
You got him?
Yeah, if I could only see.
I've got the perfect thing.
The Bosch Micro Edge XL has a revolutionary dual rubber wiping element.
Move to the left a little.
It's the best cleaning, longest lasting blade we've ever made. Bosch Micro Edge XL, the most advanced wiper system ever.
Beautiful! But I think we lost the headlight.
Some good news in Miami. Remember Mario Bland taking off on a stretcher at the end of the first half? Guess what? He came back, started the second half, knocks down the jumper, and right now, Miami beginning to pull away from Villanova.
Well, I don't know about Sports Center, but how about a little second half airtime here at State College, PA? Will that do? All we can control for now. That will have to do. 47-24 Penn State on a 15-4 run. The third best shooting team in college basketball, held at 29% tonight. 10 of 35 for Northwestern.
And the big reason is because Penn State's done a nice job pressuring the ball, forcing someone else other than Eschmeyer to be involved in the offense. And when that happens for Northwestern, they're going to misfire more than not.
Joshie Klein-Hurd back very briefly in the first half. 4 on the shot clock. A wild 3 almost goes for Crispin. Terrence Avery down with the Bulls.
One of the few few times the Penn State offense had broken down and really no penetration by Kurtzman at all.
Matt Kamrath also in for the Cats. Driving in Bonner, who was stripped and fouled. And Wasicki, his first. Check out basketball lineup Saturday on the Deuce. 4 o'clock Eastern. Number 23 Clemson. Greg Buckner, their leading scorer, in a 12-6 start. Taking on 11-6 Maryland off a 3-point win over Georgia Tech last night. This game subject to blackout in some areas on Saturday afternoon. Your impressions of your Terps?
Well, they're a team that seems to play up to the level of competition. Here they're playing a ranked team, a tough team in Clemson, who really, by all rights, had a tremendous comeback against Duke. Should have won that game. You know, I expect that to be a hard-fought defensive battle, even though both teams are probably going to score in the high 70s.
Bonner will hear about that the rest of the night. What a nice comeback. Not really a bad free throw shooter. 65%. Not bad enough to toss up air, you would think.
Tonight's one of those nights for Northwestern. Nothing has really gone the way they had planned.
This on Sean Wink away from the ball, and Kevin O'Neal simply cannot afford for his second leading scorer to still be scoreless. I mean, if this was 13:49 to go in the first half, that would do.
Well, again, Bonner is not looking at the basket as aggressively as he should, again, to be an option. He can't score if he don't put it up.
Wink only put it up 4 times in the first half. Hardly any fouls in that first half, but they're starting to stack up here in the second.
Now, Wink, that's another story. I mean, Wink is looking at the basket when he receives. His problem is Penn State's doing a nice job of overplaying, switching on picks, and really not allowing him to receive the ball.
Jeff Eschmeyer picking up his first personal. Greg Graves, leading scorer in all of Michigan high school ball last year, better than 32 points per game. Game for him so far this year against Michigan with 18 points. Klein Hurd, Wasicki in rhythm for the 3.
Well, you called it, Dave. Wasicki comes off that pick, ready to fire. That time he received it cleanly.
How about this for Ivory? Titus Ivory stays down to bother the inbounds pass and creates a one-man turnover.
Here's Wasicki right here, coming off that pick. Feet set, squared up to the basket. Picture perfect.
Ivory knocking the inbound pass off a Wildcat and out of bounds. Off balance, not quite. Wasicki, though, showing an awful lot of confidence after taking only 1 first half shot.
Oh, 25-point league will do that to you when you're below your average.
What's the downside to just about anything? 13 minutes and counting. 50-25. Penn State still doubling up the Cats. Wink still looking for his first. Graves and alley-oop for Klein Hurd. Not quite. Slight overthrow, slightly behind Klein Hurd. Telegraph pass, almost open by Stevens. As I said, a friendly reminder for Julian Bonner, the Penn State faithful. Stevenson picking up the foul, his first, team's 4th.
Foul on Greg Stevenson, his first.
And Calvin Booth to return for Penn State.
Returns for Northwestern.
You know, we talk about the problems Northwestern's having, and Kevin O'Neal, when he took this job, he recognized he had a much bigger job at hand. Not merely focusing on the teams that he has, but on recruiting. You know, he'd like to go out and compete with some of the better players in the country, but particularly, as he mentioned, in minority homes, he thinks Northwestern doesn't have the perception of being friendly, which obviously you talk to some of the people who go to school here, and they'll tell you there's nothing remotely true about that. He's just got to be able to spell that, have a winning season, show people that it can be done at Northwestern, and the doors will open to get some of the more primetime players.
Sean Wing finally on the board. He was the first Kevin O'Neill recruit, almost an afterthought. We recruited him over about a 1-week period. He really wasn't even recruited hard on the West Coast. Hails from Brea, California. Lasicki will go to the line.
I mean, you think about it, you know, that's a fine academic institution in a wonderful city like Chicago. You know, the only missing ingredient is a winning basketball tradition. Some guys are just going to have to understand that maybe they have to be the pioneers.
Well, the thinking in football was Northwestern was impossible to turn around until Gary Barnett arrived. And the thinking in basketball has always been that it's easier to turn around a basketball program because 1 or 2 players can do it. So when you add all that up, there's no reason to expect that Kevin O'Neill can't do it. He did it at Marquette, 5 years there, set up Tennessee in his 3 years there for their terrific start this year.
He definitely has a reputation to be a great recruiter, but he's one of the finer young coaches in the game. I know he appreciates me saying he's a young coach. But he has won everywhere he's gone.
And Lasicki hits them both. 52-27 Lions.
Everybody has imagined the home of their dreams. But at State Farm, we dream about a house that looks great from the inside. One strong enough to survive a hurricane or other natural disaster. That's why we helped found the Institute for Business and Home Safety, a research and education group determined to strengthen building materials and building codes. Because at State Farm, we think the most beautiful kind of home will always be the one that's still standing.
Any more Pace thick and chunky salsa?
That ain't Pace. Pace uses only fresh jalapenos for that bold taste born in San Antonio.
This stuff's made in New York City.
New York City!
Pick up the Pace.
Of our past reflected in the brightest of today. At the Chrysler Corporation, it's how we build great cars and great trucks.
You know, the real me's pretty basic. I'm even a little practical. Like a while back, I noticed I had some flakes. So naturally, I started using Head & Shoulders. It helps keep the flakes away. And if it leaves my hair looking like this, why mess with a good thing?
Arizona and Oregon. Arizona unbeaten in conference. Ducks 2-4. Miss here, but watch Bennett Davison battle on the boards. Arizona plays tonight, so that the 2 unbeatens. We'll keep you posted on them throughout the evening. David?
Boy, Arizona is nothing short of scary the way they're going right now.
Well, they've come back pretty much with a vengeance after a couple of early season losses. You know you can't count them out. They've got too much talent out there, a great coach, and it's just a question of getting the wheels on. They've got to recognize that everybody's pointing to them. National champs, they're going to play their best ball when they play Arizona. They're just getting accustomed to that now.
Arizona, Stanford, one we're looking forward to. Joe Branch, guarded by Greg Stevenson. Northwestern has managed 7 points in not quite 9 minutes of the second half, and Booth goaltends the layup by Joe Harmson, who has 6 points and is the second leading scorer tonight for the Wildcats behind Eschmeyer's 16.
Nice little high-low action by Northwestern. That time Penn State, with not a lot of pressure on the ball, allowed the passer to see, and Harmson walked Booth up. Booth just didn't want him to get a clean layup. That's why it goes.
Evan Eschmeyer out for the first time tonight. Crispin straight on. Look at a 3 and slides all the way back to midcourt to enjoy the view. Second three-pointer for Joe Crispin. Big score as a senior last year, 32 points per game out of Pittman, New Jersey, where he was South Jersey Player of the Year and a 2-time All-State man. They wouldn't let Bonner forget, but I didn't know they'd be quite this persistent. Booth with another block. Ends up in Stevenson's hands, and finally Klein Hurd. Over to Crispin, right back on the slick bounce. Count it. Oh, is that pretty by Crispin. And a powerful finish by Jussie Klein Hurd. Freshman connection for Penn State.
Well, we talked about, again, the misfortune of Dan Earl's injury, and who steps in to replace him but a freshman. And Joe Crispin playing with a flair as much as he is with the confidence. A nice thread the needle. Take a look at Dan Earl.
He hasn't made up his mind yet, but he may petition for a 6th year.
So, I mean, you watch games like this and you see the potential of the fun that you have when you can win and win big. You know, that's got to motivate a guy to rehabilitate and try to get back in, at least to have a piece of that joy. Hasn't been too joyful for Dan Earl throughout his career. A fine player, just a snake bit to be.
Snake bitten all night from wherever he has drifted. Only 2 points. Dan Earl get out having an ACL injury. Last year it was a disc problem in his back. And Penn State really suffered. But this year, with a nice infusion of youth, some of which we've seen contribute big time tonight, they are poised to go to 9-6 and 2-3 Big Ten play.
Jerry Dunn told us this afternoon, that's the irony of the situation. This year he came in believing he had his veterans back to combine with a freshman class that was force-fed, gained experience, and should be improved. And then he winds up losing them again. He's got to rely on the freshmen. This year the freshmen seem to be coming through.
With now 12. And the lead is 30 for Penn State. First field goal this half by Evan Eschmeyer. 18 points. Teammates combined for 13. And hell ball will go over to the Wildcats.
That time Calvin Booth had an idea to pass the ball but lost the handle.
That arrow on the overhead scoreboard pointing to the Northwestern side of the board.
Carl Jackson in for Penn State.
Napoleon Harris back. Carl Jackson on for Penn State. Northwestern tonight shooting 31%, 20% below their league-leading total from the season from the field. And 0 for 11 on threes. Klein Hurd called for a reach here.
Jussie Klein Hurd, his second.
Jussie with his second, 5th against the team.
Penn State not letting up on the pressure. Klein Hurd was stepping up that time, trying to play as small as quick as Napoleon Harris. See how tight they're still playing defensively.
Threw it away. Well, what O'Neal is up against, Northwestern basketball has finished last alone or tied for last in the Big Ten for 13 years in a row. Going back to a 7th place finish in '84. Their last winning record in the conference, 8-6 in 1968. The last 20 years, they've averaged 9 wins a year, 3 in conference play, but he has every reason to expect those numbers to improve. Maybe not to the level of contention yet. That may take a few years. But he wasn't hired to get 9 wins and still 3 wins and out in Big Ten play.
Now, he was hired because, as we mentioned before, he's a program builder.
Greg Stevenson, one of those freshmen who got some unplanned minutes last year. Started 8 games for his first point tonight. Out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, 6'5". Penn State, the best free throw shooting team in the Big Ten, but not tonight. So the area where each excels has been just the opposite in this contest. Eschmeyer crashing through the paint for the offensive foul. Hard to blame him, though. So little else has gone right. He sees the slightest opening. He figures he better take it. That's his 3rd.
Northwestern.
7:48 to go in State College.
My idea of an American beauty? My Chevy Malibu. It's got more trunk space than Taurus and more room inside than a Camry. I shopped Chevy and I leased it for $219 a month for 36 months with a $1369 initial payment. I got air, automatic, ABS. Oh, and get this. My Malibu won't meet its first scheduled tune-up for 100,000 miles. This is the car you knew America could build. Hey, for $219 a month, I not only got my Malibu, I got a piece of the American dream.
Shop Chevy Malibu now.
The doctor said it was a normal pregnancy.
There weren't supposed to be any complications.
How could this happen? They said everything would be okay.
Serious medical malpractice requires a serious lawyer. Peter J. Carrolley and Associates.
Demonstrate how the ESPYs bring together the world of entertainment and the world of sports, okay?
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Is there a script?
No, there's no script. We don't need a script. That's the whole point, is to find out what happens when the world of sports and the world of entertainment kind of collide.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
The ESPYs, presented by General Motors in Pennzoil, February 9th, 8 p.m.
Yeah, okay. Hey, get us a script there, would you, idiot?
59-31. This one hasn't been in question for the Nittany Lions. Really, since the opening tap, they got off to a great start. Up as many as 30 and more in the second half. How much, as you look down for the rest of the season, does this help Jerry Dunn's club mentally tonight?
Well, I think one of the things Jerry wanted to do was get his team back to playing good defense. That's why you see him out there pressuring all over the place, because the defense is what creates the impetus and certainly the method by which they can get out there and create some offense. And I think, again, the momentum that they've developed in doing it is something that he wants to carry on throughout the season. He's also gotten other guys involved. Calvin Booth doing well. Joe Crispin, again, another good game, good solid game by him. So he's starting to pull it all together. And he told us he enjoys coaching this team. This is a great bunch of young men, and they've all pulled together. They're very close. You know, he had a couple of defections. Ryan Bailey last year, who pretty much started at point guard for a while, but it hasn't hurt this team at all. He's got some good young players out there.
There's the guy that has been the biggest reason that the loss of Ryan Bailey hasn't hurt. 3 threes for Joe Crispin tonight. Ryan Bailey, the brother of Toby, decided to walk on and be Toby's teammate in UCLA. So he is transferred out, but point guard, even without Dan Earl, has been in fine hands tonight because of that young guy right there.
Yeah, he definitely makes stuff happen, that's for sure. A lot of spectacular plays, good solid D.
ESPN's Rivalry Week kicks off this Saturday, noon Eastern, for number 18 Xavier and Dayton. Lenny Brown, Gary Lumpkin, and the Musketeers, 12-4, 4-2 in the A-10, but a challenge at the Flyers this Saturday. One to look forward to. Napoleon Harris was 1 of 6 this season from the line, but Kevin O'Neill showing some confidence in him by starting him in this second half, needing somebody to mix it up and make something happen physically.
Well, if you're going to try to get something like that going, you got to put a football player in there.
Who better to fit the job description? You're right.
Yeah, he's an excellent athlete, as we've seen. He's had the aggressive nature to take the ball to the basket and make some things happen. And for a period of time, particularly in the first half, the only guy out there setting picks.
Napoleon out there alongside Camroth, Sean Wink, and both the Eschmeyer brothers. Northwestern. Klein Hurd got it blocked. Jackson followed it up. Sophomore out of Columbia, Maryland. 6'9" and 247. State pretty well stacked up again this year. The wide bodies. Jackson with his 4th foul. He started tonight, but he hasn't contributed a whole lot because he had real early foul play.
Well, actually, though, he kind of softened Eschmeyer up a little bit, tried to establish the method of play.
Defensively,
that Penn State,
he did.
Right. To establish a method of play that Penn State wanted. And when you get a guy out there who's establishing that, it sets the tone for the rest of the players and allowed them to play Eschmeyer in a physical manner.
Eschmeyer shooting in the bonus has point number 19, averages 22. That leads the Big Ten. 11.9 boards also leads the Big Ten. And tonight, worse than the usual offensive imbalance for the Wildcats.
And we talk about applying for a 6th year. Eschmeyer, who had 2 years where he really didn't have a chance to play, had to redshirt, and then obviously last year was the first full year that he was able to play. He's got another year of eligibility that he can apply for. Whether or not he'll receive it remains to be seen. And the debate is whether or not he's ready for the next level in the NBA or not, or whether another year will help his game. And at this point in time, I mean, here's a guy who is fairly solid inside. There are certainly elements of his game where he can improve, and it's just going to be a question of his mental approach. You know, if he makes a decision to stay, he better be convinced that that's what he wants to do. He can't second guess that.
Jackson set up nicely by Pete Lisicki, and Carl Jackson with a 3-point opportunity.
I mean, to this point, I still think if he came out as a senior, some of the NBA scouts would take a look at him. But, you know, he's got nothing but upside if he stays. We're talking about Evan Eschmeyer.
Areas, if he does stay, he would look to improve next year is passing. And as much as he's been doubled and tripled this year, his passing has to improve.
Well, the problem is, as we've seen tonight, he's got to have somebody to pass to.
Yeah, that's a whole different problem. Not enough inviting targets out there. Through his free throw shooting and his overall strength, his lower body strength. This is traveling on Bonner. Also a concern for Booth, because if you look at Eschmeyer, and from the waist down, they're almost carbon copies. Very thin in the legs, and at the next level, I mean, you would be the one to describe exactly how much lower body strength is necessary when you're pushing down low against the guys at the NBA level.
Well, I'll tell you the thing about Booth, though. Booth is a better runner. He's the type of guy that can run the floor. You know, he won't be a starter per se, but he can certainly be a role player. And again, with that knack for blocking shots, defense is a very important aspect of the pro game. You wouldn't think so, but by watching some of these games, but it absolutely is. And a guy who can block shots like that always has value.
Out to Pound Crispin. Slides through, a feed to Jackson. Made a nice catch on the pass thrown slightly behind him. And more contact, this time on Jeff Eschmeyer.
That was on Jeff Eschmeyer.
Second. Carl Jackson already a career high tonight. Never a big score tonight. 7 points, the most he has managed in his 2 years.
Well, he's the beneficiary of some sweet passes by Crispin. And, you know, you love to play with a point guard who has the type of vision that if you get yourself open, and also the penetration capability that he's going to wind up finding you. You know, you add a few points to your average when you have a guy like Joe Crispin, who you see right here.
1-2 for Jackson. 68-34. Penn State 5-34. As we head down to the 5-minute mark from the Bryce Jordan Center, where Penn State will stay perfect, 7-0 at home this year.
Again, you still see the aggressive style of that Penn State defense. Jerry Dunn's not letting him up. This is something he wants to see carried over into the next game, develop a habit.
Julian Bonner's first basket. Their most improved player last year has really struggled tonight. Lisicki had the open three. Even more open, though, was Jackson.
And I'll tell you what, I give Lisicki an awful lot of credit. Here's a guy who hasn't had very many looks, hasn't scored up to his average, and is still unselfish enough to get it to his teammate.
Kevin O'Neill calls time, down 34.
And what did you do this weekend, Tommy? I have been to the Edge and back. Excuse me?
Introducing the Edge Pizza from Pizza Hut.
Pizza is about topping. Crust is your safety. The Edge has no outer crust. The Edge is toppings right to the edge. Toppings right to the edge. Taste the Edge. I say let go of your crust, my friend. Brothers, sisters, I have been to the Edge and back. Join me.
16 pieces of pure toppings. Have you been to the Edge?
Hope my car gets fixed today. And my sink. And my furnace. And my lawnmower. What? You idiot! You're gonna get us caught.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down,
Eddie!
make it a Bud Light.
Renting during the work week? Call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. Because Thrifty Car Rental believes business travelers deserve great rates on great cars, too. Other car rental companies advertise low rates on weekends. So do we. But Thrifty also offers this midweek special. Pick up a compact car Sunday through Wednesday and pay just $29.95 a day. Call 1-800-4CARS. It's a good deal, good business, and best of all, it's Thrifty.
Well, it's not quite as bad as it was Saturday at Wisconsin when they managed only 33, their lowest total in some 51 years. So the last three for Kevin O'Neill, the points just haven't come. 45 per game tonight, just 36. They trailed 70-36 with 4 minutes and 27 seconds to go.
Well, let's face it. I mean, you look at the last three games and some pretty good teams, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois, defensive-minded, and it's essentially another level removed from the competition that Northwestern had played prior to that. And I think this team just hasn't been able to respond to the raised level of talent, to that raised bar of expectation.
Straight on three, Sean Wink.
Basket by
Finally connecting on a three-pointer. The first three-pointer all night by the Wildcats. And down grabbing his left knee is Carl Jackson. Wildcats started 6-1 this year, but those on column A not nearly as impressive as those on column B. So as the Big Ten schedule began, that's when the losses started to pile up.
That's right. The bar of talent, the bar of competition has been raised, and they just haven't made the adjustment. And again, for lack of talent, except in certain positions, Northwestern just hasn't been able to get it done thus far. But we mentioned before, Kevin O'Neill has a plan, and he's been able to do it in other places. Tennessee comes to mind, you know, go from a woeful team to 2 NIT appearances, so you know he can do it.
It says next year he figures to start 3 freshmen and may have as many as 6 newcomers among his top 7 in the rotation. Crispin getting loose in the paint, 72-39.
A little nifty with the ball that time, little ball fake before he took the shot. I'm impressed by him more and more.
Tonight, at least, they haven't lost much at all without having Dan Earl out there. Greg Graves has a 3.
That's a three-pointer for Greg Graves.
First point tonight for the freshman. Penn State pouring it on, led by 16 at the half, and have actually played even sharper, particularly on the offensive side here in the second half. First half, a defensive masterpiece keyed by Booth. Klein Hurd all the way after his steal. Another timeout. 3:02. The Lions roll on in State College.
At the Big Ten Wrestling Championships held March 7th and 8th.
Before releasing NFL Game Day 98, we asked Robert Brooks to check it out.
This is good.
Do you like the graphics?
Graphics are tight. Go to the house, baby. To the house. Yeah, good.
We like that, yes?
Touchdown!
All the way.
Oh, come on, man. Hey, that don't show my breakaway speed.
Well, our numbers say that you lost a step.
What?
It's,
The numbers.
Germany, a country about twice the size of Wisconsin. Remarkably,
It produces 3 of the world's finest automobiles. One of them is the new 200 horsepower 30-valve A6 from Audi. It fits quite nicely between the other 2, the A4 and the A8, also from Audi.
Hard to believe this was the Lion team that had lost 5 of 6 and 6 of 8 coming in. They won't go to 9 and 6. They'll go to 2 and 3 in the Big Ten. And drop the Wildcats to 1 and 5 in conference play. When you look at how the Big Ten is shaped up so far, there are some definite surprises. Jerry Dunn chasing some teams that he probably expected to, and some that he just didn't particularly feel had the stuff to be up there with the Purdue's and the Michigans. Indiana might be one, surprising some folks this year. Michigan State, no question. One that not many felt would be where they are at the moment. Long way to go in Big Ten play. When you look at the lines tonight, they may still have something to say about how it all shakes out. Eschmeyer stolen by Stevenson, stolen right back by Wink. Harris with the lob and the easiest 2 of the night for Evan Eschmeyer.
That time Eschmeyer probably felt that he was neglected. No one around him that time, which is one of the few and far between instances of that occurring where no Penn State defender was there.
Tim McGovern getting some time for Penn State. There's the Big Ten as it currently stands. Michigan State deadlock at 5-1. Iowa, Purdue, Indiana, Illinois, all at 4-2. And if you're looking ahead to March Madness, it wouldn't be outlandish at all to figure at least those 6 great chances to make the NCAA.
Well, just as importantly, games like this take on a significance too. The Big Ten has never had a tournament, postseason tournament before. A team like Penn State or someone who is in that middle echelon, who fights to stay in that middle echelon, has a chance of playing a team that they can be more competitive with, at least in the beginning, before they have to take on the big boys and maybe increase their chances of sneaking out a win or 2 that might get them in the postseason if they continue to play well. So these games have some importance.
Hurd with a miss, Harris with a rebound, and wrestling with Harris, Sam Crenshaw. The football players go after each other. Crenshaw, like Harris, fresh from football season. This is his first basketball game in uniform for Jerry Dunn, as Dunn gets a chance to clear his bench and get some guys some time. John Branham, Pete Rogowski, Tim McGovern, Crenshaw, and Klein Hurd. Cincinnati Marquette tight at the half. Conference USA.
Can you look to the Big Ten tournament? It'll be interesting to see how the teams respond. You obviously have the top seeds playing the bottom seeds. The guys in the middle will be playing people who should be stacked up pretty evenly in that first wave. And again, if you have a record that's teetering on postseason opportunities, and in Penn State's case, it's probably more realistic to think NIT. You look at a win like this at home and say this is more important than just winning the game.
Important for John Branham at the moment, the fact that he has nailed a 3. This is just his 4th action of the year. 80-41 inside the final minute. Napoleon Harris, all 5 of his points here in the second half.
I tell you, Branham, that's all he worked on in the shoot-around this morning. This afternoon, nothing but the 3.
Pete Lasicki goes head-to-head with him in practice, says he is the toughest opponent he has ever faced, and he's serious about that. People shake their head when they hear him say that, but that's what he's talking about.
Practice makes perfect. I mean, I did not see him take a layup except for a couple of warm-ups.
And you may not all year after this. 83-43.
He was challenging the big guy. Come on out here, I'll take you. He didn't pick on the 50.
Eschmeyer has 24 of the Northwestern total of 45 points. This is the highest scoring game for Penn State in over a month, since December 20th. The last time they exceeded the 80-point mark. And this one ends 83-45. Jerry Dunn, who ended a string of 4 first halves by leading at intermission tonight by 16, walks away with a dominating performance over Northwestern, which falls to 7-8, 1-5 in Big Ten play. Coming up next, UAB and Memphis. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Len Elmore, Dave Barnett, so long from Penn State. Let's check in again with Carl and Quinn in the studio.
All right, fellas, thank you very much. And they could have waved the white flag at any time into the second half. That one needed to be called early. Jerry Dunn walks off the court, not even a big smile on his face. I assume you do get some level of satisfaction out of a victory like this.
Well, Carl, he's got to be somewhat satisfied because I thought his team came out and played hard against a team that is really struggling when you look at Northwestern. Don't have many options for offensively, and I think with Evan Eschemeyer, you can shut him down for the most part because there's nobody else to take up the slack.
Yeah, and we have talked about the Big Ten. They talked about the Big Ten records. Both of these teams now had 1 win in conference, now Penn State with 2. And for Northwestern, it doesn't get any easier. Purdue, Michigan State, and Michigan. And that's certainly on the mind of the head coach, Kevin O'Neill. All right, let's get to some other action going on this